Joyful day. Welcome to my channel. You are on Sierra Unconventionally Speaks. And I thank you for thinking it, not robbery, meeting me here again another week, right? So if you're new to this channel, three things we do here. We recover, we discover, and we empower. And not the traditional, because the unconventional of what I do is intentional. So we empower with the INpower, empower, because it starts within. And so these little 15-minute segments, sometimes it could be a little more, but is just about holding space for you so that you can possibly do some thinking or rethinking on a thing that you might have not fully recovered from. And then allowing yourself to tap back into your childlike faith, to play towards your strengths. And then you discover something new. And so after you then discover, you will then automatically, magically empower yourself. Yeah, so just like that. Recover, discover, and empower. And this week I am pulling from Finding Sierra, and so I usually use one of my intellectual properties. And I pull from that, or it's just something from the heart. But either way it go. Here we go. So the part that I was reading before I came on, it said it was the new normal. Let me see if I can find it. I put the book down. But I remember it was talking about, oh yeah, new normal. See? New normal. So, I don't remember much of the emotional state I was in. I think I was still in shock. I remember the powder light pink dress she laid in the casket in. I searched my memories for this information, but I couldn't admit nor deny if I stood alongside the casket looking down at her. I was reminded of something I do remember. I remember this part like it was yesterday. I was sitting outside on the sidewalk in front of Smith Funeral Home, sobbing. Casual life at Grandma's was not the same. Normal play was no longer that. My new sister and I were the big jokes of the family. Well, I'll say from my little cousins, who had no problem in joining in on the games of picking on me and taunting us about our mom, who was addicted to drugs. My father wasn't around, so you see, this painful life moment went on without Grandma. In spite of it all, I went on being that intentional, enthusiastic little girl, remembering things and giving out advice far past my years. It felt like days later, perhaps weeks. My grandfather then passed away. It was definitely too soon to be trying to process this left hook that my family got hit with again. So, I'm talking about a time in my life where I was a little person, and while something else was already going on, being teased by my little cousins because I had just found out that the woman who I thought was my mother was not my mother. And so in that moment, it was then my grandmother passed away. And then, as if that was not enough, right? If that was not enough that we needed to figure out how to recover, my grandfather passed away. Yes. So this is, I think, is so profound for anyone new here to this space, because this is when we have to be intentional, right? Because the idea is to do three things here: to recover, discover, and empower. And so I can share with you that from that incident, as a little girl, I didn't know what was going on. But now, as an adult, right? That moment of being raised by a mother who was not my biological mother, I had to find ways to recover from that. Imposter syndrome, identity crisis, so many things from that taunted me and haunted me in my everyday decisions, therefore. But I can say that to this present moment that we're in, I'm no longer taunted by that. And so I have figured out how to recover so much that I have then helped my mom, who was on drugs. She is now alcohol and drug free for 15 years. Yes. So that is how I intentionally, those are the magical things that will come up when you are intentional about recovering from what you grow through. So, excuse me. So then after I recover, I discovered that even who my mom was showing me who she was when she was wrestling with the spirit and all the things that come with being addicted to drugs for so long, and me trying to help her, I then had to look at this version of myself that looked like me in this woman to now give myself the opportunity to identify who Sierra really wanted to be. So even from all of that, you have the opportunity, which then is your self responsibility, to give your story a narrative that best benefits you, so you're no longer the victim to what you've gone through, to what is a real thing for you. And so after I recovered from all of this, and then I discovered more about Sierra by helping my drug addicted mother at that time fight those demons, I now could fully say that I did not want nothing to do with any kind of drugs, right? I wanted nothing that I felt like that would possibly make me forget about people, places, or things that were really, really, really important to me. And so I did myself a favor. I stayed away from a lot of stuff because I did not want to be caught up in something that could take me away, take my heart and my desire away from the people that I love. And so after I recover, I then empower. And that is how I was able to write this book. And not just write this book, I was able to start my business, which is It's a Heart Thing. And it's really just about, it's social justice. It's really about a self-advocacy for yourselves that overflows into your community, that shines like a bright light when you're on your job, right? That shows up in your words when you're communicating with your children or your spouse. And so it's about a social justice that runs so deep and so intentional that you're not using your fears and your insecurities and who wasn't present and who you wanted to do a thing to stop you from being your true authentic self. And so, yes, I figured out how to empower myself, and not just from the outside. Like I worked a lot because I used working as a cover up in the beginning because I did not know how to speak up for myself. I didn't have self boundaries. I was really in the headlock of people pleasing. And so, but as I constantly work towards this empowerment that starts with me, not me pointing the finger and the blame of what my mama should have did and who my daddy should have been and all these other things. Because when you point one finger, there's three fingers pointing back at you. So even though you feel like someone should have showed up and somebody should have did something for you, you still have a part to play in it. And I didn't want to play the victim, although I could have possibly played that role, but I didn't want to play the victim anymore. I now wanted to be the victor of my story. I now wanted to change the narrative, change the storyline, get myself out of that run on sentence, and get myself on into a new chapter of recovery, discovery, and empowerment. Now, so how did you do that, Sierra? Then that's a good question, and that's what I'm gonna wrap this video up with. So how did I do that? It wasn't easy, right? Because when you have a feeling and the feeling is strong, especially when you want to blame somebody or you want to say what you felt like you deserve, then when you hold on to those narratives, then you stop yourself or you slow down the process of you getting over your recovery, right? And then the thing is how you recover won't look like someone else. So the first thing is to don't compare your story, your situation, your pain to someone else's. That's the first thing you should not do. The second thing is to allow yourself the opportunity to feel all these emotions that you have justified for so long, but feel them from a different lens. Feel them from their shoes. Feel them through a different light. So feel the emotions, but do it from a different perspective. And then after you feel these emotions that you felt like you had the right to be angry and mad in a different way, then now you will start seeing a totally new picture. And then once that new picture presents itself to you, you will then have the opportunity. And some of us, we still don't always take this opportunity, but you will then have the opportunity to start reinventing yourself. You will then have the opportunity to start regrowing and blooming in a different way. Yes, and so that's what we'll call it. So when life happens, remember that it doesn't just happen to you, it happens for you. Meaning, it happened for you to learn, for you to grow, for you to see, for you to event something, for you to be a better version of yourself. It didn't just happen for you to be angry, mad, sad, and feeling like you're in a bunch of pieces. That's not why it happened. It happened for you because it's trying to communicate something that you might not can't hear because you're drowned out by wanting to point the blame and being mad at somebody else. So, in your opportunity of recovering and discovering from what you probably went through, and yeah, and let me be the first to apologize, right? Because maybe what you went through, that person isn't apologizing for it. So let me apologize that you had to go through that. Let me apologize that the person that you might have loved and you looked up to and you thought would never do something to you, they did. Allow me to apologize that you had to go through that. But let me tell you something, dear heart, from the bottom of my heart, that because that thing happened, that you can intentionally find boldness in the brokenness. Yes, it is a real thing. Or do like I did. I created 6 self-planting seeds. And what I did, the 6 self-planting seeds was just a way to start communicating with myself differently. Right? Because I was repeating the narratives, repeating the stuff. And so these 6 self-planted seeds is what I did to allow myself to remove the made up stuff, right? I now need to start telling myself positive things. That right there, you could copy and paste on every day and every week and every second of your life. If you get nothing else from this video, it might be now time for you to start telling yourself positive things on a daily basis to create a self-contract or a self-pledge with yourself that I am ready to remove the made-up stuff I was telling myself for years. Rome wasn't built in one day. And so you're not going to undo it all in one day. But I promise you that if you are consistent in wanting to recover, and then you find the fun and the beauty in discovery of who you are and finding yourself, OMG. And then after that, you will see that life is so much more about who you are within than who you're trying to pretend to be without. That's the message. Thank you for tuning in to Sierra Speaks. I look forward to unconventionally speaking with you next time. So we are here every second and fourth Wednesday. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Keep smiling, keep shining, and most of all, a better you equals a better me.